Hope you noted that, Stephen Conroy. Let's go to Stephen Conroy live now. Former Labor Minister joins me live from Melbourne. Good to see you. It's been a big week in Parliament.
It has.
And here we are on Friday with Barnaby Joyce threatening to block government legislation. What should this be seen as this morning?
Well, look, it's very clear that it's a pretty significant dummy spit by Barnaby. I mean, he's making the argument on behalf of, his supporters, but most people will see through that pretty quickly. And while I would agree with all of the commentary, and I've said it before on your show, I'm a huge fan of Matt Canavan. I think it's a tragedy that he's on the backbench, and you can't say the National Party have got their best talent on the front bench if Matt Canavan is sitting on the backbench. Having said that, threats to destabilise both McCormack and the National Party and its ability to deliver on its coalition agreements, combined with threats to Morrison, really do make this look like a huge dummy spit.
Yeah, and it looks like it's not going to go away either. As soon as we saw that vote on Tuesday, there were briefings that it was so close that it was 11-10. It absolutely wasn't that close. I could really not get Barnaby at more than 8 votes. We don't know because the whip hasn't told us. And now we have this pretty unvarnished threat from a core group within the Nationals. I mean, you can't really say this leadership issue has been put to bed, and that is a big problem for Scott Morrison.
No, that's right. I mean, whether it was 10-11, 11-10, or it was, as some claim, 15-6, it will only take 1 or 2 people to change their mind. And why I say that is usually once you've got 51% of the ballot and you can demonstrate you've got 51%. So Michael McCormack's got his 11 votes. The waverers will tend to fall onto the winning side, because why would you vote against the leader who you know is about to win, so you drop off? So those waverers can easily be brought back if they think 1 or 2 of the other members who in that column of 11 have changed sides. So this is a Tinder dry situation in the National Party. But to be fair, the only person who can really fix this is Michael McCormack. He's a very decent bloke. I'm sure everyone who knows him would say that, and I've known him for a long time. But his public performances certainly aren't as colourful as Barnaby, thank God. And so Michael McCormack needs to work on his delivery and his performance, and that will just completely sideline Barnaby.
You've seen a few of these leadership problems close up in the past. Michael McCormack did only reward his backers. Everyone he's elevated this week voted for him in that leadership spill. After something like that, why couldn't you, for example, put Barnaby Joyce back into cabinet? As a leader, wouldn't it be better to have him somewhat muzzled by the constraints of being in the ministry and in cabinet, rather than being able to freewheel on the backbench?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure that either Scott Morrison or Michael McCormack, I mean, they tried to harness Barnaby before the last election. Remember, he was in charge of drought relief and the famous, I sent my report by text. So they haven't been able to harness Barnaby at all at this stage. And look, Barnaby's had a lot of issues that he's worked his way through. He seems happy in in the background, but it is also unwise. You've got to share the spoils. But the real challenge for Michael was he only had 11 votes. Core, maybe a couple more.
Yeah, I think a couple more, but it's only a party room of 21.
But that's right. So you don't have a lot to share around. You've got to reward the people who stuck. And so he's had to make promises to lock in the minimum 11.
Yeah.
And once he's made those promises, there's not enough to share with the Barnaby team. I mean, Matt Canavan sitting on the backbench is a travesty. The damage he did to Labor in the Queensland, state of Queensland in that last federal election was extraordinary. He single-handedly tromped around in places that Scott Morrison didn't have time to go to, and he caused Labor enormous damage. And every commentator will say it's not stable why Matt Canavan is on the backbench, because the National Party looks silly. I mean, they made Bridget McKenzie Senate leader, for goodness sake. She's just been kicked out of the ministry. She didn't go willingly. She was dragged screaming and kicking.
Yeah.
And Matt Canavan's on the backbench. She's on the backbench and she's the Senate leader. I mean, this is an absurd equation that the Michael McCormack's had to come to.
Yeah,
it's not stable. It's not stable. And that's where Michael McCormack's problem begins.
Well, how's Labor gone? How's Anthony Albanese gone over the summer? Do you think this week he was accused of playing politics over the bushfire? He didn't do that, in my view, over the summer. But did he cross the line in Parliament this week?
Not at all. I think you make a very good point, Laura. Albo was very, very considered in his criticism of Scott Morrison. Albo didn't jump on he shouldn't have taken the holiday, all that sort of stuff. Albo focused on the issues at hand. So I think Albo got a big tick through summer and he outplayed Scott Morrison consistently because, Morrison just had a tin ear. In Parliament, all they did was actually highlight the poor performance. They quoted him back to himself. They demonstrated the examples where he completely stuffed it up. And until Morrison just puts up his hands publicly, clearly, and says, I made a hash of that, I'm sorry, I will lift my game, then it has to go away, the criticism. But while he continues to try and pretend he didn't really do that bad a job, Albo has played this very, very well.